What's up, AfterBuzzers? You're watching the Mistresses After Show, Season 4, Episode 10, Confrontation. Lots of confrontation tonight, so stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Welcome. I was shimmying while I was saying that, by the way.
Yes, we're back. Hopefully no one caught my flubs, but we're back for Mistresses. Like you said, April, confrontation, lots of it today. Finally, wrapping it up. Hopefully wrapping some things up.
What are we wrapping up?
Well, April and her mom.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Good riddance.
The pills and Harry. But anyways, I'm Francesca. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram, XOXOCESCA.
What's up, everybody? Y'all can find me everywhere at April Whisenhant.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's get into it.
And I have the live chat going right now, so let us know what you thought. We apologize if you saw our flubs on the first few intros right there.
Anyways,
it's a giggly night.
Giggly night.
Yes.
We wanted to say that thanks to people on Twitter and YouTube.
Yes.
We went back and we saw that it was orange soda that Mark was drinking out of the bag when we thought it looked like he had relapsed.
It was Kelly3222 that told us, so thank you. Because we all thought that he was, I mean, they clearly planned it to where he's sitting on a car, somber music playing.
Brown paper bag.
And a bottle. We didn't pause and check to see, because we just automatically assumed that it was a beer or something like that.
That was really sneaky of them.
Very sneaky.
And then they didn't even, obviously it wasn't anything because they didn't brush on him drinking this episode. So yes, it was orange soda. Thank you guys for pointing that out. And it makes sense now with everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not relapsing. That's always good.
Thank God. Let's just start from the beginning. So we see Harry and Joss. First of all, we see Harry in the shower, and Joss is clearly ignoring him.
I don't see how she could ever ignore that. I feel like living with that, you never get used to it. You just are always going to be
in awe.
Yeah.
Of his pecs.
Yes.
I don't know how she did that, but basically,
because she's on meds and she's passing out.
You're right. So she's sleeping on the couch, being very awkward about talking with him and dealing with him. He wants to sit down and talk. She doesn't want to.
Yeah. But I think it's pretty important to note that she's not just sleeping on the couch. She's not going to sleep on the couch. They're still sleeping in the same bed, but then she gets up in the middle of the night because she's having these. Because you remember, he's like, you don't have to get up in the middle of the night. Your tossing doesn't bother me. She's tossing and turning and having these nightmares where she's literally screaming herself awake. So, but it still just shows that separation instead of, well, at the beginning of the episode anyway, instead of being this is what's happening, da-da-da-da. She's like, oh, I can't relax. I feel so wired. And then she feels the need to go take another pill, but she runs out of her pills.
And you think that would kind of smack some sense into her.
Yeah.
But it doesn't. So she's with she's with Karen, and she sees Karen's prescription pad, and she's actually asked Karen to write her prescription.
Right.
Good for Karen for being no, I don't write prescriptions for my friends.
Yeah.
But bad for Joss because she slips one of the papers in her.
I knew that was going to happen, though. But it's one of those things I kind of forget that, she's a psychologist, but that's very different than a normal doctor friend, a just general family doctor prescribing you an antibiotic to a friend. That's a lot different when it comes to, especially an anxiety med. I really thought that it was just going to be one of these things where she is oh, okay, she took these pills from her client and maybe let's see if this works, let it calm me down. And then whenever she was out, I was hoping that was going to be done. She's okay, I did this temporarily.
Right.
And, it seemed to be helping her last week, but, clearly she's going down a dangerous path. The point when you start, stealing your friend's prescription pad...
That's when you got a problem.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah, definitely abusing the drug.
Yeah.
And, at first, April, you were because she's acting weird.
Yeah.
Because of drugs. You're oh my God, maybe she's pregnant.
Well, because you see her, she stands up to get ready for work or something, or to leave for work, and she kind of falls a little bit. And I don't, maybe I should Google this while we're talking, but I don't know like the side effects of anxiety medications or anything like that. I'm sure that probably dizziness is one because it's a side effect of everything, but it's also like a major side effect of pregnancy. So I was like, oh, what if?
That'd be crazy.
That would, because I've never even like thought of that scenario for the two of them. And so for a second I was like, because that would be, it would like get her out of the impact class and it's clearly like not doing great things for her. And it would, I don't know. I thought that, but now I don't think that anymore.
Yeah, no.
It was a short-lived idea.
It was a good idea. That I think that would have, no one was thinking that, so I could have seen it go that way.
Yeah.
But then we see later after she talks with April and they're having wine, she comes home and she's, you know, she's acting like she's really drunk, dropping her jacket, stumbling. She's actually talking to Harry for a little bit. And then,
but just like still not anything really. And he can tell that something else is wrong with her other than like just being a little tipsy, because even when you're drunk, she was like very like jittery, and I mean obviously that happens when you're drunk too, but you can just tell something was off with her, different than just like being tired and having like a glass of wine. Right. But I don't know.
And luckily, he figured it out.
Yeah.
Because we see at the end, she goes to the couch again because she's having this crazy dream where she sees, what was his name? Wilson in the mirror as she's boxing, you know, and
she hits the mirror. I thought that was real.
Me too.
I thought, like, obviously, not that he was there, but I just thought it was like she was actually punching the bag and like she just had like a vision of him or something.
Right. But it was a dream.
Yes,
thankfully. Yeah, because I was like, oh, she's going to get so much glass in her knuckles. Yeah. And Harry, you know, I thought that was interesting that he was sitting there watching this happen, and now I know why. It's because he was waiting for her to wake up because he wanted to show her
that he had found the pills. I'm glad he, you know, kind of like took some initiative and really looked around to see if anything was different, because otherwise it like forces them to finally talk about it.
Exactly.
And this whole entire season has just been about her ignoring him, or not ignoring him, I'm sorry, but her lying to him and kind of, you know, pushing him to the side. And it's, I don't know, it's just about time that like some sort of confrontation happened. I thought it was going to be, I was proud of her when she woke up and he's like, are you okay? And she's like, not really. I'm like, at least she said not really. At least she wasn't like, oh, good, yeah, fine.
Yeah, no, I'm fine. Just had a bad... No, yeah, she said not really.
Yeah.
I'm hoping this will get them to talk, even though the previews look a little...
Well, you just know she's going to be angry.
Intense, exactly.
She just has so much anger in her. And with this the whole thing that led her to have this bad dream is because, you know, her friend Marisol died, and... what's the leader of the... Jackie wants her to talk to the police against Marisol's ex-boyfriend, but, you know, naturally, Joss is uncomfortable with it, and she's having all these flashbacks of when she was arrested and she was in prison, and Jackie's kind of really pressuring her. And I mean, obviously, it's like, if you can help in that situation, you know, with a woman who was ultimately murdered by her husband or by her boyfriend, you want to do whatever you can to help, but at the same time, Joss is clearly like not in the mental state to do that for herself. And so I liked whenever
she finally stood up to Jackie.
Well, but I liked whenever, was it April or Karen that told her, they're like, you have to take care of yourself. Like, you do what you can
April,
do.
I think, right? Or was
I think so. But just, I like that she told Jackie, like, this place isn't good for me right now. It's too much. But then Jackie's, like, so manipulative and calls her, and she's like, we think he's going to get out on low bail.
Right.
So
we were debating this while watching. Do you guys think that she was doing that as a trick to get Joss to confront her fear of the police and talk to police? Or do you think that's really happening?
Well, so for a second I was like, oh, she's doing this to, like, manipulate her. But now I think, like, clearly that's a pretty cut and dry thing. Like, you can't lie and say, oh, someone's bail hearing is tomorrow and he's probably gonna get off. Like, even if he doesn't get off with a low bail, like, doesn't necessarily mean anything, obviously. But I think and I'm sure she wanted to call her to inform her, but I just get, like, that little sense of attitude, like, oh, well, obviously she's very sad about this, but she's like, well, he's probably going to get off with a low bail because this just happens all the time because so many women don't say anything and yada, yada, yada. But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean...
tough situation.
It's hard because Jackie is intense, and it makes sense for that class.
Yeah.
But sometimes you can't just keep pushing people, and she just was pushing people and trying to say, like, you're just scared, confront your fear. But it's, for her, it's not really that she needs to confront her fear. She needs to just talk about what happened.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's always going to be like this.
And it's one way of, you know, confronting your fears and really dealing with stuff is not necessarily another person's way. So even though maybe aspects of this class are helping Joss, it doesn't, I mean, it is still really new. She went through a very traumatic experience. So I get where Jackie would, you know, push a little, but when someone is clearly so, like, bothered by it, then no. But then again, Jackie also doesn't know that she's, like, popping prescription pills to make herself feel better. So she might think, like, oh, she can do this, but she doesn't know the depths of what Joss is really going through.
Mm-hmm. So good thing Harry found those pills.
Oh, I know, right?
Mm-hmm. And Harry is going through his little thing right now. Mm-hmm. And I want to know if you guys out there, I think I said this when Jonathan first came. He just doesn't feel like, he just seems sneaky and manipulative because, you know, he was buying him the motorcycle and all these showy gifts. And so,
you got it, though. I mean, some people literally do just have that kind of money. And it's not a waste. Like, he is trying to lure Harry away from these other job opportunities. Or he was at first. So, I mean, it's kind of like it's part of the business. Even though it may to us seem very like, oh, he doesn't need this Ducati and whatever. But it is part of, like, you know, you schmooze people to get them to come aboard. Now, our version may be like, oh, I take you out to dinner or something like that. But
I think when he got the motorcycle, he was already on board with Jonathan. But I think it's because he said in the episode today, you know, I do anything for my family. Mm-hmm. So I feel like, you know, he can't be trusted because if it's something with him, he's just going to take care of himself. You know what I mean? And I understand that. I think Harry's feeling the same way. Mm-hmm. So Jonathan is getting audited by the IRS. And so because of this, the IRS is freezing their investments. So Harry's 20% of everything is frozen. And also Harry's salary is deferred.
Yeah. And,
you know, who knows how long I don't know if Jonathan said a certain time limit.
Yeah,
but who knows?
He didn't know.
Yeah, how long this could take. And this, clearly Jonathan has tons of money, but Harry literally put everything into this. So now he's in a really weird position.
The thing that I don't understand about this, is because Harry meets with his lawyer?
That's what I was wondering, lawyer or whatever?
I imagine lawyer, because he's like,
counsel
or maybe
or something,
agent, something like that. Also, shout out Dexter Stars.
I know. I
was like, what? You're on this show? I'm so happy.
Hello.
Oh yeah.
Surprise.
But anyway, so Harry says, you know, contact the people at Food Network. They were talking about doing a second season of the show. Let's just see if it could even still be a possibility. Because he put that to the side so that he could do this deal with Jonathan. So I almost don't understand why Harry's so worried, in the sense of, I feel like if Jonathan doesn't know how long this IRS thing is going to take, wouldn't he be like, yes, of course, do whatever in the meantime?
Right. No? Yeah, if, say, this IRS thing only takes like a couple weeks, then, you know, he's committed to something else and that interferes with everything, because they were just about to break ground, I think, right?
The next week.
Next week. But at the same time, if it turns out he is doing, you know, shady stuff, then everyone's all out. And he could have passed up on opportunity.
Or if it just takes a long time.
Right, exactly.
Like, he could be doing this. I guess that's why I think, like, I would just automatically assume that this is going to take, you know, like a few months. And so wouldn't you have time to film a show in that span of time? But the conversation between Jonathan and Harry, though, where he was like, maybe this is karma, because whenever I was first starting my business, he was like, it was all about me, and I saw these other opportunities that people didn't see, and I took them. And of course, Harry's like really listening to that, because that's what he's going through, trying to decide if he should just wait it out and just completely wait for Jonathan, or go for something else. And that's where there's like a fine line, because it's like, yeah, probably wait a little bit and trust the person. I don't know why, but I trust Jonathan. I don't think he's actually done anything shady. I just know that he's right when he says the IRS does go after big businesses. Right. Of course they do, because that's who they make the best examples of if they're actually doing something bad. So if he's not doing anything, then I don't know. I just get the feeling that he's not. Because
I hope he's
Why would
not.
he risk everything he has?
I hope he's not, but I could definitely see him being shady. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't want Harry to get screwed over either. You know, but I thought it was weird that Jonathan came over to the house to talk. And it was almost as if, I could be way overthinking this of course, but it was almost as if he went and said that stuff to motivate Harry to like do something so that can cause issues down the line.
I thought of it in a different sense. I thought he went there to say, like, you know, people already aren't returning my phone calls. I see you, and these people are friends. I see you as a friend. You know that, right? Almost like, don't do this to me. Like, don't back out like everyone else is doing, please.
Yeah.
So I didn't see it as like him trying to trick him into like messing up his contract in a way that would mess him up.
I hope not. I'm for Harry. I'm for everything to be okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think he should just tell Jonathan, hey, I can do this Food Network show in the meantime, and hopefully your IRS stuff will get worked out in a few months, and then we'll start again.
Yeah, because...
But that's a very rosy picture that I just painted, and does anything ever happen like that? No.
Not on Mistresses.
No.
Yeah, because, you know, he, as a business partner, you do need to be honest with each other. So I think Harry's just very antsy, especially after hearing Jonathan talk. I'm just scared he's going to jump the gun and cause problems for himself.
There's also, as, you know, with as big of a business as we assume Jonathan has, from the way they've talked about it, he doesn't necessarily know. Like, he can't have his hand in every single pot. So, like, what if... But then again, it's not like you're going to get shut down by the IRS if someone, like, wrote a bad check.
Right.
You know, like, something like that. But you never know when you have that big of an empire, like, what your employees are doing. So it could very well be, like, he had good intentions. He didn't do anything. Maybe someone else did.
Maybe
I doubt that, but I don't know.
Maybe Reza did something bad.
No, Reza, on the other hand.
I know. He's
been taking that petty cash. But I think everything will work out for him.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
What's next? So we had a bromance again this episode with Harry. Harry we just talked about, Harry went out there and wants to take things under control because, you know, it's
his livelihood.
It's his livelihood, right? And he kind of passes the same message to Mark, who's in this slump because, you know, he just basically returned his keys to April. They're no longer together, and part of the reason why is because, you know, he's in a band, he's not supporting, and Harry's like, well, you know, I believe in your dream, but you need to get out there and make it happen. This can't be just, you know, a garage band for the rest of your life. So that puts a lot of inspiration into Mark, who then goes back to the band and passes it along and says, we're not doing all that we can. Let's get on the road. And you see, like, I think his name was Jonah or whatever, and he's like, my carpal tunnel. Like,
lame.
Like, you know what I mean? They're just chill. So, of course, that leaves it for him and Sophia, who's super passionate about the band.
But also weird. Like, it didn't come off to me as like, yes, oh my God, I'm so excited for this. It came off, I don't know.
It came off like, yes, now we get to spend more time together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And she annoys me. But also, Harry's speech kind of pumped me up, too.
Yeah.
He just always has the best things to say.
He has really good advice.
Because how he said to Mark, he's like, and I like that it was coming from someone else, and I almost feel like it's other than April, and I feel like it's like the kick that he needed, because he's like, no, Mark says, you know, I think the whole time April may have been the problem. And it's like hearing it in a different way from Harry, where he's like, look, we all think you're talented, of course, but like, what are you doing to make sure something happens? And when he's like, if you know that you're doing absolutely everything you can, he's like, that's when you're going to be successful. But if you're not, I mean, that's your own fault.
Good advice.
Right?
IRL.
If you're not doing something every day for your career and to like boost yourself, someone else is. So write that down, baby.
Everyone out there, life lessons from Harry again.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But silly Sophia, I was about to call her a bad name.
I still want to know, because they left us hanging a couple episodes back.
I don't think they kissed then. I think they definitely kissed for the first time tonight. That was for sure a first kiss, or like a first in a long time, because she's like, this doesn't have to go past tonight. This is whatever. You could tell that it was the first time they had kissed.
I just realized they have a thing for leaving us hanging with Mark. They tricked us last week with the soda. They tricked us with them looking googly eyes a couple weeks ago at the piano.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this time it really does happen. They go out to see a concert so they can feel the energy and get pumped. And she goes in for the kiss. And at first he's like, no, I just broke up, whatever. And she's like, okay, fine. And then he kisses her back.
Yeah, and he looked so happy about it. And of course, it's like, meanwhile, April's calling him, like, hi, just want to talk.
April
always
just
gets so screwed.
Yes, so screwed. But I'm very proud of April this
Me too.
episode. So we see her in the beginning. She's having breakfast with her mom, and her mom makes a comment about saying, oh, Mark only contributed breakfast because her breakfast clearly isn't
It was like the little rice cakes that my mom used to try to get us to eat for lunch, but we never would. Yeah.
And veggie bacon.
She's like, well, she would do it for like a few days, and then she's like, okay, PB&J.
What about PB&J and rice cakes? No, she never made them.
No,
okay.
she never did that.
and then Marjorie's there, just saying more things to get under April's, in April's brain. Like, if you guys were meant to be, then you wouldn't be in this position right now. Just so evil.
Which obviously is not the case. Like, things happen. Outside influences definitely, like, mess people up sometimes. But her mom, she knows what she's doing. She just wants to make... It's like she feels like she needs to remind her, even though Mark is gone. And April said tonight, she's like, I know you told Mark that you were going to get him out, and somehow you did. But, like, you won. Okay.
Yeah.
But it's like she needs to remind her, like, oh, by the way, even though you're not here, he was very wrong for you. Because it's, still in the new stages of a breakup where, both people, well, not Mark, I guess, are depressed. So it's like she needs to remind her so that April's mind doesn't go astray.
Right.
But that's just mean. You're her mom. Like, be there for her.
Sometimes moms, try to put all their stuff on their daughters for whatever stuff happened that they messed up in life. So she wants April, like they had that argument, I raised you to be a strong Black Christian woman and you're not. And then but literally she's better than her mom, but she's the same as her mom in certain ways, as we see, and it's because that's what she grew up
but
with, you know what I mean?
That line bothered me so much whenever she's like, strong Black Christian woman, because April is 100%. She just has certain views are different.
Right.
That doesn't mean her religion is different or that she's weak in any way. She is just tolerant of things that her mom isn't tolerant of, as I'm sure we are, as I'm sure, they are.
Right.
Where I'm like, I don't want any hair around the sink. My mom's like, it can last for a day. I'm like, I am not tolerant of that.
These are important arguments when it comes to the bathroom.
Important issues.
Especially when it's roommates.
Yes.
Yeah. Awkward.
Thankfully,
hair
my
in the
mom
sink.
is not my roommate
I know,
anymore,
right?
But not for a long time.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
But April's roommate is her mom right now. And, well, she was. And I appreciate that she realized because of her little outbreak in the shop. Yeah. Okay, so, of course, how to segue back Michael in, what's his name? Elliot? Not Elliot. That was a lawyer tonight.
Talking about the shop guy.
The shop guy, yeah. He has
I also want to call him Michael.
every name but his correct name.
Yeah. It's like Greg?
Randy. Yes. So Randy has the magazine. Oh, look, it's this guy who yelled at me,
Yeah.
And of course the mom right away, oh, look at him. He's so handsome. Why don't you date him?
Also, like, no, he's not.
No comments. And April's, she said, no, it didn't work. She was talking business relationship, right? Wise. And then she says, plus he's transgender, which again, like, I don't feel like she needed to share that information.
Well, no, it's because her mom was like, April's like, it didn't work out. And she's like, oh, you got fired. And April was like, no, not necessarily. And she's like, well, I don't see why you don't just call him now that you and Mark are broken up. And so then she said, well, she's like, what's the holdup? So that is her holdup.
Yeah, but that's true. But I mean, to tell her mom, who's like, always has something to say, when like, he liked me, I wanted a business relationship. That's why it didn't work. But she freaks out and like these people,
Yeah.
you know, those people, this and that, it's not right, blah, blah, blah. And then that's kind of the moment of clarity when she realizes maybe I've just been like, I love my mom, but she's just intolerant, obviously was the word of the night. And I can't have that around me because it's affecting all my relationships.
See, I thought that's even knowing how judgmental April's mom is, I thought that scenario was going to go different. I thought April was going to say, like, oh, I'm not interested in him romantically, and these are her words, obviously, because of this reason. You know, he's transgender, and she's not attracted to that, is what she said to him. Obviously, she chose, like, very wrong words to say whenever she broke it off with him. But I thought April's mom was going to be, like, understanding, like, oh, okay, I get it. You know, you don't have to, no one has to be attracted to another person. But, of course, she just takes it, like, a whole other route. I'm like, support your daughter. She said she didn't like this guy. Okay, no problem. But instead, she's like, oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
It's just, ugh.
It makes a scene in the store.
Yeah, and everyone's looking at her. That's her daughter's place of business. And businesses, especially in LA, like, you know, they come and go. One bad word, one bad Yelp review, which Yelp reviews. Okay, we'll talk about that later.
I'm like, what?
But, it can ruin somebody.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. But I'm just glad April finally grew a pair.
Right, because, I mean,
she was up to her.
She was talking to Joss, and Joss says, don't let anyone walk all over you. So she does. She gets her mom out of the house, and I think, honestly, that's the only way that it's going to work. Her mom's not going to do anything differently if she's still living with her.
And she found a solution that her mom basically, like, couldn't hate. It's her Aunt Molly. So I guess obviously maybe her sister, Marjorie's sister, I guess. Yeah, Margaret's sister.
Marjorie, yeah.
Yeah, Marjorie.
But then she emails Michael to apologize. I don't know, and then calls Mark after, like,
but
just sometimes leave things as
sure,
is, you know?
But I also get, like, if you know you've offended someone, wanting to go back, even if she doesn't, like, just to clear the air, just to not have something hanging over you. Like, no one likes to just hurt people and then be like, all right, peace. I mean, I guess some people do, but, you know, she just wants to be like, I'm sorry, whatever.
Yeah.
It's good. But then she calls Mark because the whole issue was because her mom is living there.
Right.
And so she got her out so that she could work out these things herself. But it may be too late.
Might be too late. All right. Let's get into the creepiest part of the episode before we have to leave. Lydia. Good old Lydia. So I was equally annoyed with Lydia as I was with Karen this episode.
Yeah.
So Lydia's, you know, eavesdropping when Joss and Karen are in the kitchen. Like, I can't remember what they were talking about. But
talking about taking things slow.
Oh, yeah.
Between Karen and Adam.
Right. And, you know, even Joss noticed, like, wow, she's pretty comfortable, you know, listening to everything. And
because she said, Lydia butted in, and she was like, isn't it a bad sign if people don't make a move right off the bat?
It's like, I'm sorry, were we talking to you?
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
No matter how, like, close that relationship gets, it's just something you don't say. Especially when maybe if you're, like, already in the conversation, but you don't butt in to your employer's
right, especially like I can understand if it's a friend and you're like coming back from the bathroom, but but yeah, that's her employer. And I know like nanny situation stuff, they sometimes become like family, but still it's still a little awkward.
It's private. She's literally talking about sex. You don't talk about that with your nanny.
Yeah, you're right. and then Karen's on the date with Adam, and you know they're talking about taking it slow, and he's like, oh, Mom, you told me you wanted to take it slow, like, but she's like, no, I didn't.
Yeah, in this chat, when it was actually Lydia, she told you that.
I just wanted him to say that, like, oh, when we were in the chat room, that's what you said. Instead, it was like, but you made it clear. I'm like, stop being so vague. Like, I want her to find out that.
And it was so weird whenever she picked up Vivian.
Oh, was talking to her?
And she's like, let's hope she can't find out what I did. That would be terrible. And it almost made it, because she was talking about Vivian being sick. And she's like, let's hope you don't get sick. I'm like, are you poisoning Vivian?
No, exactly.
Obviously, it's not what she meant, but it's still, I don't know, the way she, like, read that line made it seem like it was something other than just, like, oh, let's hope she doesn't find out we were in the chat room. That's definitely what I think she meant. But.
Yeah, no, I agree. It was weird timing to say that with talking about sick. But it makes sense, because clearly she's just awkward in general.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So this is where I got mad with Karen. she's having a great time on the date, and she wants to stay out later. And she calls Lydia, and Lydia says, no, I have plans. Well, yes, Lydia was lying because she didn't want her to spend extra time with Adam.
Right.
Karen's like, well, can't you change them?
Yeah.
Like, no.
Since I used to nanny 4 little girls, my perspective on it is there were times for sure when my boss called me and was like, I'm so sorry, we're going to be later. Can you please do this? And if I had something important, then no. But she would, if it was like an emergency, she'd be like, is there any way? Yada, yada, yada. And I'd be like, oh, yeah, of course. But that's much different because it's an emergency.
Right.
And you're like going out of your way to help someone. But in Karen's situation, it's not an emergency. And so she handled it well. She was like, oh, okay. But asking her to change her plans when it's not, it's just not something that you do. I get it if it's very important, whatever you're doing. Like if you're at work and you absolutely cannot get out, you know what I mean?
Right,
but
exactly.
I don't know.
I know. So I was a little mad with Karen, and I was happy that Lydia said no.
Yeah.
Because that was a little un-Karen-like to me, I felt like. But then they talk later, and I felt that was awkward. Like, thanks for giving me a second chance. Like, what?
Because Lydia's just awkward.
Yeah, it's just weird.
But it was weird. The conversation that was so weird is when, is the next day whenever Karen asked her, she's like, were you on a date? She's like, no, I haven't been on a date in years. What? She's like, oh, I thought you had plans. She's like, yeah, to go home and relax after a long day of work. And Karen was just like, what? Like offended by, which if I was Lydia in that sense,
I would have never said that.
Just because you don't want someone to know that, like, okay, I couldn't help you out because I didn't feel like it.
Right. Even though that's fine. That's perfectly okay.
It's fine, but it's just not something that you
it's
say.
not you don't do. Yeah.
Like she could have been like, oh, I had to do something important at home. Like, it's just, it's just
personal
kind of
stuff.
what you do. But then, and Karen responded, she's like, oh, I'd like for you to be a little more clear on, if you have if you're not able to help out with what your plans are. Like, that's not Karen's business.
Yeah, I agree.
But it's like they're both a little right, because Lydia, like, I don't know. It's just creepy.
Yeah, it is creepy. I think Karen was out of line for the most part. And
she said to her, she's like, I know we've gotten closer lately, but my personal life is none of your business.
Right.
Which
so
is
then
very true.
Lydia's personal life should be none of her business either.
Yeah.
So, but we see that she leaves her phone in the room when Karen and Adam have their little date at home. So she goes in, oh, hello.
I thought she didn't actually leave her phone.
Me too. I thought it was her just being creepy obsessed.
Yeah.
But she lost her phone, and then she hears, obviously, moans.
Yeah.
And instead of being uncomfortable and like walking out, she wants to go check it out. Like,
there's a weird part of that where I feel like she just wanted to would be like mad about it, like, oh my gosh, this is happening, and but it's just crazy that she actually went and looked, because she knew exactly what was happening.
You don't need to go any further than where you were. But
I think it's like that weird, I don't even know what I would call it, but one of those people who like hasn't, or a person who hasn't been with anyone ever or in a long time, and that they're like, oh my gosh, it's happening, what, and you know what I mean, like those creepers.
Yeah, she's like, she just,
not that just because someone hasn't been with anyone in a long time that makes them that way, but you know what I mean, like obviously there are people who are like messed up in the mind like that, and that's definitely what she seems like.
Yeah, she needs to be Karen's, like, Karen needs to see her as a therapist. She shouldn't be her nanny.
She should be her patient.
Yeah, exact patient. There you go. I couldn't think of the word. But yeah, so that's an awkward situation, and I kind of thought that like they were gonna see her standing there, but I think she might have been just down the hallway. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't see her actually like looking.
I know. I remember last week's preview for this week. It made it look like she was watching them. So,
but it was actually just when she was in the hallway closing the door.
Yeah. I don't know. But
Sneaky
I
ABC.
thought tonight's episode was really good, and I'm happy that, people kind of, like it was Confrontations, people kind of confronted all these problems that's been going on for a few weeks.
Yeah.
So let's get into predictions for next week.
Let's do it. Because we only have 4 episodes left.
Predictions.
Your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Woohoo! What do you think is going to happen with the whole Jonathan and Harry thing? I feel like Harry might jump the gun here.
I think Harry's going to jump the gun. And I think Jonathan's going to get super pissed. But because I agree with, I don't know his name, but let's call him Sergeant Dokes.
Elliot.
Elliot. I agree with Elliot, his lawyer/agent, in the sense of like, okay, we know that this is a possibility. Like, let's talk to Jonathan about it, because I can't imagine a negative thing that Jonathan would have to say other than like, oh crap, well, what if this does, what if the IRS thing is over sooner rather than later? But I can't imagine him like being mad if he just talks about it as if like, oh, this is on the table, because he's been very open seemingly with Harry about everything so far. So I think Harry's going to do it, and he's not going to tell Jonathan at first until it's just like kaput, and he's going to be really mad.
Yeah.
And a mad Jonathan is not someone who I think I would ever want to face.
I don't feel like I would want to either. No. I feel like if he's mad, he'll be like Reza.
Yeah. Because one day, even if his assets are frozen, and even if they find him at some sort of fault, he's still got money somewhere. It's not all in his business, so he's going to have the money or he potentially would have the money to take Harry down. Mm-hmm. And he knows enough people. I hope it doesn't end up that way.
I know.
But I just think that I definitely think Harry's going to jump the gun with the show.
I think so. Hopefully he'll try to set things in motion, and then maybe something happens and it won't actually go through, because I don't want to see that blow up. That would be really sad for Harry.
Me either. I think Joss is going to take the pill thing terribly. I think it's going to be a major not good. I don't think it's going to be like a come to Jesus moment for her. I think she's just going to be mad at him that he was like looking at her stuff. Excuse me.
I think they're not going to talk about it. Of course not. But I think we see in the preview she puts a gun to someone's head.
Yeah.
So it's time for Joss to start talking, because I can't see how long they're going to keep dragging this out before she literally hurts herself.
Well, we only have 4 episodes left. So, I mean, maybe that is where they're taking it, that she does hurt herself. But it seems like so she's fighting with someone, and someone's on the ground, and she points the gun, and then someone like grabs her, and she turns around and looks shocked at who it is. So I almost wonder if it's like Harry coming to the rescue, and then she realizes like, oh my gosh, I could have just
killed Harry. Yeah. Ooh, I missed that. So I'm
I mean, we didn't see who it was, but she looked shocked when she turned around.
Yeah. We'll see about that. I think April kind of messed things up with Mark, and I think Mark's gonna kind of.
But it's so soon.
I know, but that's how guys are. Guys rebound right away, and then later they'll get sad. Girls get sad for a long time, and then finally move on.
Speak for yourself, honey.
I'm speaking in a general sense. Everyone's different.
Y'all.
But yeah, I think he's gonna find the message after they've probably hooked up,
and then he's gonna feel bad.
But
what I definitely see him going back with April, because if he doesn't, then he's off the show.
That's true.
I mean, they're not going to carry just his storyline.
No, not at all.
So, I mean, every other partner who has ended a relationship with a person is gone.
Right. And I like Mark.
Unless you're Dom and you make occasional appearances.
I know, right? So I like Mark, though, because even when he came by to return the keys, he was like, tell Lucy we'll plan something later. I miss her. And I know she's going to be in the next few episodes, I believe. So, yeah. I don't know. But, yeah. Karen and Adam.
Bad stuff is going to happen.
I'm just hoping. I just really want them to find out.
I don't think he's going to propose. That preview where he had the ring box, I think it's going to be like a necklace or a bracelet.
I hope so.
Yeah.
That'd be
or
way
like
too
a fashion
soon.
ring.
And if it's way too soon, then yes, there's something odd with him, and he should be with Lydia.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah.
All right. Well.
That's that.
That was a good show. I'm looking forward to, I think, next Monday we have one next Monday.
Yes.
Is that Labor Day weekend? Or no?
No,
that's the one before. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Anyways, April, where can we find you in the meantime?
Y'all can find me everywhere at April Whisenhant.
And you can find me everywhere at XOXOCESCA. And we'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.